You talk about zooming out, having that broader perspective. Is this something that is easier with age? For me personally, I feel like I've only been able to do that with age and perspective and just having lived more? Or is this something that at any age we can take advantage of and actually change things?
Anybody can zoom out at absolutely any age. It is easier as you get older, and that's one of the reasons that people tend to get more religious as they get older. It's weird, because nobody believes more in the tooth fairy when they're 60 than when they're 10, right? People are more religious when they're 60 than when they're 30. Though. What's up with that? And the answer is that it scratches a particular itch. And we're starting to understand more and more of the neuroscience of actually how the brain is being affected by transcendent experiences as opposed to superstitious experiences. The differences are quite profound between these two things. The people who mix these things up usually do so willfully, and it's not helpful, is what we think. But at the same time, we find that as people get older, it's easier for them to make jibe things that seem very conflictive at deep odds. When people are 20 or 25, this is generally speaking when they tend to be starting to wander away from their faith. One of the biggest reasons when you ask people in public opinion surveys about this is they say, how could there be a good and loving God when there's so much suffering in the world? Maybe some of you in medical school felt this very thing. Maybe some of you left the faith of your youth when you were in medical school because you saw so much suffering and it was incompatible with what you'd learned about an all-knowing and unloving God. Well, there's a funny thing that happens in your 40s, which is that you start to realize that life is pretty darn messy, and a lot of stuff just doesn't add up. There's this, that suffering is best dealt with in the Jewish and Christian religions in the book of Job. And the book of Job, of course, Job is torment. He's a just man, and God and Satan are in a wager, and Satan says, I can get that guy to stop worshiping. And God says, well, let's see. Let's test him. And so he does every bad thing to Job. He's got boils on his skin and all his kids get killed and they run off with his cattle and it's just the worst thing ever. And Job keeps worshiping. Job keeps loving the Lord. And he says, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. But at the end of Job, this is where it gets really interesting for all of us, right? In the 39th chapter of Job, Job puts God in the dock, where he has a conversation with God. And he says, I blessed you all my life. I loved you all my life. And you did this to me. And God said, well, you're so smart. I guess I made a mistake. Obviously you were there when I made the heavens and the seas. Obviously you were there when I made the stars in the sky. You're so smart. You tell me if I made an error. And the whole point is, we don't know what's going on. And you're more comfortable with that when you get a little bit older. You get a broader perspective on this when you get a little bit older. But here's the thing that I tell my adult kids, because my kids are in their 20s. This is going to be easier for you to understand because you will accept more things that you don't understand. So get a head start now. Get a head start on humility now. Get a head start on saying, I will be purified. I will submit to the will. Get a head start on that now, and you'll never be sorry you did that.